Hey there, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Eric Estreva. Another edition of Beyond the Forecast every Thursday. We've kind of been going back and forth with our episodes because it has been so active. Last week we were talking about some impactful weather coming on in. This week it's quieter. So I wanted to share with you why exactly we are going to get a warm up here coming in very, very soon. And it actually starts tomorrow and will extend into at least early next week. Now, we're still watching the middle and end of next week for maybe some more impactful weather coming on in, but wanted to tell you more about the Arctic Oscillation and why it will be so important to kind of figuring things out across the area here over the next week or so. So let's jump right into it, shall we? We've got the Arctic Oscillation, or the Arctic Oscillation Index, and it's a index where you can see that line going from positive numbers to negative numbers. So this is just brought to us by the weather model. So the weather model in question is the GEFS. It's the forecast, and also that black line that goes back into November is what was observed. So this is just an index that the National Weather Service takes into account to kind of give us an idea of how the pattern is going to start to shift. Now, what we usually look for is when we see big dips in the negative, which you can see is actually happening, or actually did happen, and if you give me a moment, right here towards January 15th to about kind of right now. We had a big dip all the way down into some seriously low numbers, -3, -4, -5. And when the Arctic Oscillation gets that low, it means we are expecting a much more wavier jet stream, which also would allow for those colder temperatures to really start to supplant themselves in the Great Lakes. Now you can see that it's starting to get to the opposite side, so past zero into the positives right here, and that's as we go into this upcoming week and as we go into this weekend as well. We're going to start to see a more positive Arctic Oscillation, and of course the science behind that is when we have a positive Arctic Oscillation, we have a more stable polar vortex. We have a stronger jet stream off to our north, so it confines that colder air more towards the Arctic into Canada, but when it's negative, it switches. And this is pretty important to, of course, wintry weather. We see a more wavier polar vortex, a weaker jet stream, so it allows for those pieces of the polar vortex to plunge south, and you can see that the entire state of Michigan in that graphic is underneath that Arctic air, while some spots off to our west, of course, on the western side of the United States, they were a lot warmer than we have been recently. So when we get into that positive Arctic Oscillation, which is a phase that the Arctic goes through over the entire year, but of course, once you get into the summer, that polar vortex is a lot weaker than it is in the winter when it's a lot stronger and you have those colder temperatures. So it's really important to our weather here in the colder months, and that includes this upcoming week since we are still in February. But as that Arctic Oscillation gets to be in the more positive range, that is going to give us more of a taste to a piece of early spring as our temperatures are going to get into the 40s and even well into the 40s to maybe even around 50 at times early next week. This weekend will more so be in the lower to middle 40s, then next week middle to upper 40s until we see a stronger storm system coming on in Wednesday, which could start to shift things back towards normal. Now, when we do see this warmer air and these warmer temperatures, it's going to be best that you care for your home and the surrounding, everything that's around your home, because we're going to have a lot of ice melt, a lot of snow melt as we see some sunshine to go along with these milder temperatures. So what you want to do, and we're going to start from the top right on your roof. So as you get, and you want to make sure you are safe, so if you best can, do it in a stable ground setting. You'll want to get some of that snow off of your home as best as you can. Now, if you can't do this safely, it's best to not put yourself at risk, but you're going to want to clear that ice and snow from your roof so it's not falling off and hitting you or somebody else. You'll also want to clear those icicles and the snow from your gutters because anytime you get ice and snow in the gutters, it can potentially damage your home. But also, when it gets warmer, all that ice and snow is going to continue to melt and will fall. You'll want to take those breaks. You'll want to clear any of the snowfall that you can. But of course, taking breaks is going to keep you healthy and safe as you are clearing some of that ice and snow because it will get a bit heavier as it starts to soak up more of that moisture. And of course, ice is heavy no matter what. You'll want to shovel around your home, making sure you have a clear foundation 3 to 4 feet away from your home so that none of that ice and snow is potentially getting into your home. And also some of those storm drains and fire hydrants, you want to clear those so that we are not going through any flooding, any flood risk or flooding situations as things start to melt on off, and we add more of that water to all of our, streets, rivers, creeks, things like that, that are really going to start to rapidly melt here over the next week. Not seeing anything close to warmer air or warmer temperatures right now. We're squarely in the teens and 20s. You can see some pretty cold temperatures happening into the thumb, and that's because we have the clear skies and just a light breeze. So it's going to bring those temperatures down pretty quickly. A lot of us will be in the teens tonight to even some lower single digits possible across the north. And when we do see a breeze kick up, it will be more so windier as we get towards sunrise. Those wind chills could definitely be in the single digits to even just below zero. Wind chills in some spots are in the teens, especially in the thumb, where we have those temperatures right around there. You can see our feels like temperature is pretty much going to be right around the actual air temperature the next several hours. Then as those winds increase towards sunrise, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., it'll bring those wind chills down into the single digits for our Friday. You can see pretty calm winds 3 a.m. on Friday. As we jump into the morning right around sunrise, those winds will start to pick up a little bit more, 5 to 10, maybe 5 to 15 mile per hour gusts are a possibility as we start the day. Then as the system transitions off to our north, that's what's going to bring in some of those warmer, milder conditions. It is going to be more of a west to southwesterly wind, 15 to 25 mile per hour gusts will be a possibility. For the rest of our future cast, we've got generally clear to mostly clear, partly cloudy skies overnight. There may be some low cloud and maybe some patchy fog that is able to develop because of some of that snow melt. Otherwise, we will see increasing clouds at times on our Friday, more partly cloudy conditions, and any of the precipitation that will happen with that system will primarily stay off to our north. However, a few flurries, a couple sprinkles will be possible towards M55 and also into Huron County. Behind that wave, there may be an increase in cloud cover Friday night, and that may bring a little bit more of those cloudier conditions into our forecast on Saturday. But overall, it does look like a brighter weekend in general, less cloud cover and also those milder temperatures. And tomorrow is also, before Valentine's Day on the 14th, we have Friday the 13th. So make sure you're not knocking over any salt. You're wearing your lucky shoes, you got your lucky horseshoe, you're not going and running underneath any ladders or opening any umbrellas inside. You stay away from any of the black cats that could bring you some bad luck. And if you see any crows or any ravens, might not be the greatest thing to stay in that area. Friday the 13th, just one of kind of those fun days where people associate it with bad luck. So we've got some good luck in our forecast, thankfully. Our extended futurecast shows us dry through Tuesday. It's Wednesday that Yeah, we've got some blue and some pink, which would be that ice wintry mix or some snowfall. This is just one model's handling. It has that storm system mainly off to our south, which would bring in some cooler temperatures and maybe some wintry, more impactful wintry weather in for our Wednesday. But up until that point, we'll be in the 40s, we'll be dry, we'll be sunny. So Wednesday into Thursday of next week, we may start to see a little bit more of a pattern shift, and we'll have to shift our temperatures and our expectations on what the precipitation is going to be accordingly. Tomorrow we're at 42, breezy conditions, down to 41, just a little bit more cloud cover on Saturday, then 45 on Sunday, 47 on Monday. Staying right there in the mid to upper 40s Tuesday. And depending on where the track of the low is, if that low is mainly off to our north, of course, we're going to be in the 40s to maybe even some 50s, and we'll have maybe mainly rain showers. But as that extended futurecast model showed us, there is the possibility that that storm system stays off to our south and we see colder temperatures. We would have to bring those readings down into the 30s. We would have mixture of some wintry weather in the forecast, and that wintry mix and some of those colder readings would, of course, continue into our Thursday. But the good news is we've got some nice mild conditions to take us into the weekend and also early next week. So that's one positive that we have in our extended forecast. All of these temperatures are above average, and that also includes our low temps into the 20s and 30s. Some pretty mild temperatures for what is right now the middle of February. And as we continue to wrap things up here, we'll leave the 7-day forecast on there for you. One thing I do want to mention is, again, we'll continue to have that ice and snow melt as a result of those milder temperatures. We'll have some sunshine. Won't be the sunniest day. May actually be a little bit cloudier than it was today, but overall we will have a decent amount of sunshine, and that's going to boost our temperatures up to about 42 degrees. So some moderate snow and ice melt. You probably won't see those big piles of snow going anywhere anytime soon, even with this extended stretch of warmer temperatures. But any of that snow that's been piling up on your rooftop, or some of the snow that you haven't cleared just yet, will definitely be melting off pretty quickly, and we'll get some nicer conditions, some drier conditions, not as much salt out there on the roads to help us out with our cars and keeping our clothes clean, because I know I'm probably not the only one that has gone through, brushing up against a dirty car or your own car, and then you just kind of got that salty mess on your clothes. It is going to be a nice stretch of weather that we have upcoming, but just know winter's not done yet. We all know that March and April can still bring us some wintry weather, and even later in February, we'll probably see some of that wintry weather returning. So we haven't turned the corner just yet. I would say this is more of a false early spring than spring starting early. So we'll go back to the 7-day forecast. I'll leave this up for another minute, and then I will wrap up this stream. As always, I appreciate you guys joining us every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube. We'll continue to bring you the latest and greatest, especially with an upcoming weekend that's probably going to feature a lot of people going out for Valentine's Day. Just know the weather will cooperate, which is not something that we can always say in the middle of February. Last February 14th for Valentine's Day, we had a winter storm that was moving through the area. We got several inches of snowfall. So definitely a flip in the pattern, and we kind of flipped the script compared to last year, even though this year has been a lot worse winter-wise than last year. So that's going to wrap it up for me on this live stream. We'll see you guys next week.